her applause, my ruin. If you had told me a year ago that the girl I loved would destroy me in front of an entire crowd, on a stage, under lights, with a smile on her face, I would have laughed. Said you were being dramatic. But here I am, telling you this story. Because it happened. And I can still hear the applause. I met Olivia during our first year at university. She wasn't just magnetic, she consumed the room. Every guy wanted her. Every girl wanted to be her. And me? I was just the quiet guy with a notebook and a guitar, content with my lyrics and coffee-stained pages. I didn't think girls like her even noticed guys like me. Until she did. It was after an open mic night in a crowded bar near campus. I played a few original songs. Nothing flashy, just raw stuff. Honest stuff. After my set, she approached me with this wild energy, eyes wide, clapping harder than anyone else. Olivia. That second song? The one about your dad? I felt that. You're not just good, you're real. Me, awkwardly laughing. Thanks. That means a lot. Olivia, smiling like she already knew me. I'm Olivia. And you and I? We need to create something together. That night changed everything. We started writing music together. At first, it was strictly artistic, but the chemistry was undeniable. I remember the exact moment I fell for her, late in the library, 1 a.m., as she hummed a melody she said was inspired by my voice. Olivia, softly, you bring out the sad in me. The good kind of sad. Like, poetry kind of sad. She leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. Olivia, don't let me go, okay? I didn't. I should have. Months passed, and we became inseparable. We were that couple, the artsy dream team. I wrote the lyrics, she shaped the melody. I played the chords, she sang the heartbreak. But somewhere along the way, the songs stopped being ours. They became hers. Her name, her voice, her face on the posters. I didn't care, not at first. I was proud of her. I loved her. I thought we were in this together. But slowly, I started noticing things. She stopped inviting me to meetings with producers. She'd forget to tell me about recording sessions. The last song we wrote together, the one I poured my soul into, about my late brother, was released with only her name on it. Me confronting her, breath shaking. Why doesn't it say written by us? That song, that was my story. Olivia, shrugging, not even looking up from her phone. The label thought it would confuse people. One voice, one brand. You get it, right? No, I didn't get it. But I nodded, like an idiot. She told me it was just business, that we were still a team, that I just had to trust her. And I did. God help me, I did. Until the night of her biggest show yet. The one where everything imploded. She invited me. Front row. Said she had a surprise for me, a big one. The lights dimmed. The crowd roared. She stepped on stage like she was born there. And when the music started, it was our song. The first one we ever wrote together. Only, the lyrics were changed. Twisted. The verses were now about a weak, needy boy clinging to someone above his league. About being a background extra in someone else's fame. The crowd laughed at the punchlines. Cheered at the jabs. Olivia, on stage, looking straight at me. I used to love a poet with shaking hands. Now I just sing about the mess he left behind. And they cheered. They fucking cheered. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. I just sat there, my world collapsing in slow motion while everyone clapped. Me in my head. She didn't just leave me. She rewrote me. Turned me into a punchline. I left before the encore. She called that night, acting surprised that I was upset. Olivia, on the phone. Oh, come on. It was just a performance. You're taking it too seriously. Me. You humiliated me. Olivia. Grow up. I blocked her number. I disappeared from social media. I stopped playing music for weeks. I couldn't even look at my guitar without shaking. Everyone saw me as the guy Olivia sang about. I wasn't a person anymore. I was a meme, a lyric, a joke they laughed at in bars. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. You either stay there, or you start climbing. And I wasn't done climbing. I didn't touch my guitar for 46 days. I counted. Every goddamn one of them. There were moments in those first few weeks where I thought I might never write again. I'd sit on my bed, staring at the scuffed fretboard, trying to will my fingers to move. But every time I picked it up, I heard her voice instead of my own. I'd flinch at the sound of certain chords because they reminded me of her set. The crowd, the spotlight, the betrayal. Friends tried reaching out at first. People from school. Even a few musicians we both used to hang with. But their messages always came with pity. And I didn't want pity. I wanted to go back and delete that whole chapter of my life like it was a badly written verse. I shut everyone out until Ava showed up. She was a mutual acquaintance, someone who used to play violin in the background of a few sets Olivia and I worked on. Quiet, kind, always stayed out of the drama. I hadn't seen her since the show, but one morning, she was just there, outside my apartment, holding 2 coffees and a bag of almond croissants. Ava, softly, I figured you hadn't left the house. You look like crap. Me half laughing, half ashamed. Thanks. Always appreciate the honesty. She didn't push. Didn't ask about Olivia. She just sat next to me on the couch and pulled her knees up, sipping her drink in silence. And somehow, that silence felt louder than all the betrayal. She started coming over a few times a week. We didn't talk much at first. Sometimes she'd just bring her violin and play in the corner while I sat and stared out the window. I didn't know what she was doing, why she was being kind to me, but I didn't have the strength to question it. Until one day, she finally said what everyone else was too afraid to. Ava, you let her take your voice, but she doesn't own it. I looked at her, throat tight. Me. She used my words to kill me, and they cheered for it. Ava. Then write new ones. Ones she can't touch. That night, I pulled out a blank page, and I wrote, not about Olivia, not at first, but about me. My loneliness, my shame, my rage, the hollow echo of betrayal. I wrote like I was carving pieces of myself back into place. Every sentence was jagged, but it was mine. By 3 a.m., my hand was cramping, and I had tears in my eyes for the first time in weeks. Not because I was broken, but because something in me had finally clicked. Me to Ava, voice hoarse. I'm scared. Ava placing her hand on mine. Good. That means it matters. We started jamming. Nothing big, just evenings in my living room. Her violin, my chords, quiet harmonies. Slowly, we built a sound that was raw, imperfect, and real. And it was the first time in months I heard myself in the music again. But the past doesn't stay buried. Not when it's trending on TikTok. One evening, I got tagged in a clip that had gone viral. A remix of Olivia's The Poet, the song where she mocked me, now mashed up with video edits of me walking alone on campus or sitting backstage at old shows. Someone had found old photos of us and layered them with crying emojis, sarcastic captions. When you ghostwrite her whole career and she ghosts you. The face of heartbreak. Olivia really did him dirty skull. Over 3 million views. I didn't cry. I just stared at the screen. Numb. Ava, after seeing it. They're vultures. Feeding on pain like it's entertainment. Me. They think it's funny. That I'm just a cautionary tale. Ava. Then show them you're still writing the story. We decided to record something. Not to go viral. Not to fight back. Just to reclaim the narrative. The first track we dropped was called Silence Between Notes. It was nothing like Olivia's polished pop. It was messy, raw, full of pauses where pain bled through. My voice cracked in the bridge. Ava's violin wept more than it sang. But it was honest. And people noticed. Not a lot. Not millions. Just enough. A few comments. This hurts. In the best way. You can feel he lived through it. Who is this guy? I thought he disappeared. One DM hit harder than all the rest. It was from a stranger. A girl I'd never met. DM. I listened to your track after my breakup. I cried. But it helped. Thank you for existing. That was the moment I knew. I wasn't just surviving. I was healing others by healing myself. Olivia may have had the crowd, the labels, the flashing lights, but I had the silence between the notes. And in that silence, I found something stronger than applause. I found my voice again. The thing they don't tell you about pain is how it rewrites everything. Songs that used to feel warm now taste like metal in your mouth. Memories you swore were pure start to rot when you turn them over. And trust, God, trust becomes something fragile, like glassware wrapped in silence. A few months passed. Ava and I kept working. We put out 2 more songs. They didn't blow up, but they spread quietly like fire under the floorboards. One of them got picked up on a playlist called For When You Can't Breathe, and the comments on it hit harder than the music itself. My ex cheated on me while I was in the hospital. This song helped me sleep again. He used me for clout. Thank you for writing what I couldn't say. This saved me tonight. That's when I realized what I was building wasn't a comeback. It was a refuge. But the storm wasn't over. Not even close. It was a Thursday when Olivia showed up again. I hadn't seen her since the night she butchered me in front of a cheering crowd. Since the after party where she avoided my eyes and let her manager throw out every excuse in the book. I was walking out of a cafe, earbuds in, when she tapped my shoulder. I froze. She looked different, softer, or maybe I'd just grown sharper. She gave a small, nervous smile, the kind she used to flash before dropping a lie. Olivia. Hey, you look good. I didn't answer, just stared, waiting to see what version of herself she'd try to sell this time. Olivia, clearing her throat. Can we talk? Me. Why? Olivia. I think I owe you an apology. She led me to her car. A sleek black thing she didn't have back when we were splitting bills and eating ramen 3 nights a week. Inside, she fidgeted, tapping her nails, adjusting the AC, avoiding eye contact. Olivia. I didn't mean for it to get that ugly. Me, bitter laugh. Ugly? You wrote a diss track with lines I wrote for you, then played victim while the world clapped. Olivia. I didn't ask for them to attack you. That wasn't the point. Me. Then what was the point, Liv? Humiliating me for bonus streams. Olivia, quieter. It was complicated. I was angry. You left me out of the label deal. You stopped writing with me. I blinked. Me. You think I owed you that deal? After everything I gave you for free? Her lip trembled. But I didn't feel sorry. Not anymore. Olivia. I messed up. I know I did. But people don't know the full story. They just know what the blogs said. Me. Because you let them write it. She didn't respond. Then she pulled something from the glove box. A flash drive. Olivia. These were the demos we wrote. All of them. Before everything. I never deleted them. I didn't reach for it. Me. Why are you giving me this now? Olivia. Because part of me still hears you in every song. And I don't want you to disappear. Me, cold. I already did. I left the drive on her seat and walked away. Some things don't deserve closure. That night, I told Ava everything. She didn't interrupt, just listened, like always. Then, after a long silence, she said, Ava, you didn't walk away from her. You walked toward yourself. The next day, we played a small underground show. Maybe 50 people in the room. But when we played Silence Between Notes, I saw a girl in the front row cry into her hands. Her friend hugged her. They swayed together like the music was holding them up. After the show, that same girl came up to me. Eyes puffy, hands trembling. Fan. I thought I was the only one who got torn down and laughed at after. I handed her a wristband from our merch table. It said, your voice matters. Me. You're not alone. Not even close. That's what Olivia never understood. Fame is loud, but it's shallow. Truth? Truth whispers in the cracks between the screams. It doesn't need a stadium, just a soul that's listening. We started planning a full EP, one that would finally tell the story no label wanted to touch. I called it Unwritten Apologies. It was mine, not hers, not theirs, mine. Somewhere along the line, I stopped checking her page, stopped reading the comments, stopped replaying the way she turned me into a villain in a verse. It wasn't peace, not at first. It was exhaustion. Ava and I were 2 months deep into producing our EP when a talent scout from a mid-size indie label came to one of our shows. It was a backroom venue in Detroit, low lights, crackling mic, beer-stained carpets. But the crowd was alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. They knew the words. When we stepped off stage, sweat clinging to every part of me, he was waiting near the side door. Scout, shaking my hand. You got something raw, unfiltered. That's rare. Me shrugging. That's trauma for you. He laughed. Ava didn't. We met him for coffee the next day. The offer was modest but real. A 3-project deal, 70/30 royalty split, full creative control. For the first time, I didn't feel like a product. I felt like an artist. But the ghosts don't vanish just because you do something right. 3 days later, I got a message request. Olivia, IGDM. Congrats on the deal. You deserve it. Really? I didn't respond. I wasn't ready to touch that wound. But I made the mistake of clicking on her story. There she was, sitting in a marble-wrapped kitchen, sipping something pink, laughing with a man who looked exactly like the label exec that once told me I wasn't marketable. The caption? No shortcuts. Just hard work. No Polish medium skin tone #blessed. I turned off my phone, walked to the bathroom, vomited. I thought I was past it, thought the healing was real. But watching her build a throne out of the bones of what we were, it ripped something out of me, and I hated how much I still wanted to be understood. 2 weeks later, our EP dropped. We didn't do a big launch. No influencers. No PR team. Just a link and a late-night post. Unwritten apologies. For anyone who was turned into a punchline and never got to speak. It hit 200K plays in 5 days. The comments were brutal. Real. Beautiful. This felt like reading my diary out loud. Finally, someone said what I couldn't. Screw the people who use your story for streams. This is what honesty sounds like. I broke down that night. Not because I was sad, because I felt seen. Then something unexpected happened. A well-known YouTube reviewer picked it up. He was infamous for roasting everything. Cynical, sarcastic, untouchable. But in his reaction video, halfway through track 3, when I wasn't enough, he got quiet, took off his headphones, and said, "YouTuber, I don't know who hurt this dude, but I hope she hears this." Loud and clear. It took off. Suddenly, podcasts were talking. Playlists were updating. Ava and I were getting offers. Real ones. But here's the thing. I wasn't hungry for revenge anymore. I just wanted to keep telling the truth. Still, the truth has a price. I was doing a solo acoustic session when I saw her again. Not in person. On TV. Olivia was on a daytime talk show, promoting her new single, No Regrets. The host gushed about how brave she was, how she overcame industry toxicity, how she reclaimed her voice. Then the host said, "Talk show host. So this new wave of artists, you know, the ones writing diss tracks about you, how does that feel?" Olivia laughed. Olivia? Oh, them? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I turned off the TV, not because I was angry, because it didn't matter anymore. The real me wasn't on a couch trying to rewrite the past. He was in a studio with Ava, writing songs that didn't bleed. They healed. At our next show, I stood on stage in front of 1,200 people, packed wall to wall, phones up, voices loud. Before we played the final song, I grabbed the mic and said, "Me. I lost a lot this past year. My name, my trust, my place. But I found something better. Myself." The roar of the crowd wasn't applause. It was validation. And somewhere in the back of that venue, I swear I saw a figure with long brown hair leave before the lights came up. Maybe it was her. Maybe it wasn't. Either way, she missed the best part. Me, rising. 6 months later, the world had shifted. My EP had crossed 1 million streams. Ava and I were officially signed and had just wrapped our first headlining tour across 12 cities. Each night, the energy was electric, raw, painful, healing. The crowd didn't just sing along. They sobbed along. They screamed the lyrics like they were bleeding the same way I once had. I wasn't famous. I was felt. And that meant more. Still, I'd be lying if I said I never thought of her. Olivia. She wasn't front page anymore. After her album did decent numbers and the industry milked her image of the girl who stood back up, they moved on. She started posting less. Her comments dropped. Engagement down. Momentum dead. I didn't smile at that. I pitied it. Because fame had taken everything real from her. And she let it. Then something I never expected happened. One night, after a sold-out show in Chicago, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. An actual letter. No return address. Just my name, printed neat and precise. Inside was a single page. Her handwriting. I recognized it instantly. My stomach twisted. No stage left to stand on. By Olivia. I thought the lights would fix what I broke. That a chorus could cover a silence I never answered. But they didn't. And I couldn't. You gave me real. I turned it into branding. You gave me safety. I dressed it as control. And when the world applauded, I mistook it for healing. It wasn't. I was a villain. And the worst part? I knew it. Every lyric I sing now feels like yours. I hope your silence is louder than my music. Because you were always the one worth listening to. Not me. No signature. Just those lines. Typed. Folded. Quiet. I stared at it for 10 minutes before setting it down. I didn't feel anger. Didn't feel vindicated. Didn't even feel closure. I felt free. 3 weeks later, Ava and I stood on the set of a tiny indie awards show. Our project had been nominated for Best New Voice. I didn't expect to win. So when they called my name, not hers, not our name, but mine, I froze. Ava squeezed my shoulder. Go. I stepped up, took the mic, and stared out into a room full of faces I once thought I'd never belong with. Then I said, "Me quiet, steady. I used to beg for a chance to be heard. I thought if I got loud enough, the ones who hurt me would finally see. But the truth is, I didn't need to scream. I just needed to sing. To those who've been silenced, rewritten, erased, this is for you. We're not stories someone else gets to profit from. We're the writers now. The applause wasn't thunderous. It was honest. That meant everything. That night, back at the hotel, I pulled out the letter again, folded it once more, slid it into the back of my lyric book, not to forget, but to remember where I'd been and where I refused to ever go again. One last message came from her. Weeks later, a voice memo, just 15 seconds long. Olivia, whispering, "They don't listen to me anymore, but they still listen to you. I hope you use it better than I ever did. I think you already are." I never replied. Some songs don't need another verse. Now, we're writing the second album. And this time, there's no subtext, no hidden names, just truth, loud and unapologetic. I don't look back anymore, because the person I used to be, he died in her story. But I'm writing a new one, and it's not hers to ruin.